Chair, distinguished delegates, now I would like to draw your attention to our priority theme. During the next 2 weeks, at this 56th session of the Commission on the Status of Women, each of us and the governments, institutions, and organizations that we represent will agree on concrete actions for empowering rural women. This is a matter of human rights, equality, and justice on behalf of women. And it's even more. Rural women and girls comprise 1 in 4 people worldwide, and they constitute a large share of the agricultural workforce. Listening to and supporting rural women is fundamental to ending poverty and hunger and achieving peace and development that is sustainable. The reports before this Commission on our priority theme of rural women, as well as the report on women's economic empowerment, make a strong case for listening to and investing in rural women and girls. Research shows that empowering women is not just good for women, it's good for all of us, for peace, the growth of our economies, for food security, for human security, in short, for the well-being of current and future generations.
The objective is really to see what work is being done across the continent around rural agriculture and see what support we can give. I had the opportunity to speak to part of the Gambian delegation and explore possibilities of where we can cooperate. And my colleague there, who is the head of our own policy work, will be exploring that further with them. Yeah.
How do you describe the status of women in line with this theme, particularly rural women on the continent? How would you gauge their status in terms of development?
Well, as you have seen from the various presentations, there is a theme that's running through that 40% of production is delivered by women folk across the continent. And if they are to be supported, their impact would take 150 million people away from poverty. Thus, that is a very important component of agriculture that we all need to focus on and give the necessary support. I think the theme for this year's CSW is quite appropriate, and I certainly do think that if we all focus on supporting rural women in agriculture, it will yield significant benefit for the continent and, more broadly, the global agriculture movement.
What do you think should be the first priority for the international community to provide to rural women?
Well, the emphasis seems to be support in terms of generating greater output. But I think what really is more critical is capacity building around the ability to run businesses, therefore an entrepreneurial ability given to women farmers, and also access to markets, and not necessarily European markets, but inter-African trade, to facilitate the ability for goods and services to move across the continent through our own regional blocks and the African Union. I think that is work that needs to be explored, and that I think as Africans we have a role to push that within the bigger fora like the UN, and I'm quite encouraged by some of the noises I've been hearing in the side events seeking to push the whole issue of entrepreneurship and access to markets.
I think we have chosen a very appropriate theme, because the theme this year is on rural women. And if you look at the situation of rural women, if you even look at the MDGs, rural women are way behind their urban counterparts in every single one of the MDGs. So it is very appropriate that we look at the situation of rural women. But I also want to make one thing clear. Rural women are not vulnerable. They're strong, they're resilient, but they sometimes find themselves in vulnerable situations. So what we are doing is working with them to improve the situation and to empower them.
Back home in the Gambia, the bulk of our agricultural force is rural women. What do we need to move forward, even though a lot is being done to help them?
Yeah, first of all, it's by recognizing these rural women as major players when it comes to agriculture. Because just think about it, we refer to women as women smallholder farmers, right? But if you look at these women smallholder farmers, in many parts of the world, they don't own the land on which they grow the food. Now, if you don't own the land on which you grow the food, if you want to make use of the produce, then you're not on the same level playing field as your male counterparts who own the land and are farmers. So I think the first thing is to look at legislation, is to look at the women farmers. Do they own the land? Do they have access to credit? But even going beyond that, I also want to look at the situation of women farmers, because it's not just access to productive resources, it's their own situation. When it comes to nutrition, for example, I'm a nutritionist, so I'm very passionate about nutrition. So whatever I do, I also look at the nutritional situation of the target population. So access to services, access to water and sanitation, and access to nutritional services. So there's a whole lot that we have to look at when talking about rural women. And we have to view the situation in a holistic manner, because we have to look at their productive roles, we have to look at their reproductive role, we have to look at their social role. So an approach to supporting them would have to be a holistic approach. And always remember, you're not doing, it's not like we need to do something for them, but we need to work with them, because they know the situation, and as I said before, they're strong, they're resilient. So let's work with them and improve the situation. So we need to talk, we need to hear the voices, because it's so easy to stand here and say we need to empower them. What do they need to feel empowered? We need to listen to them, and I think that's the key message I have.
With the team empowering rural women to eradicate hunger and poverty. From your own perspective, what could be done to change the status of rural women?
I believe right now the government and the people of the Gambia are on the right track towards attaining this team. We all know that government over the years have been strengthening or supporting the cause for supporting agricultural development in the country. And women have answered that call in full force, especially rural women. And over the years, we have seen a lot of efforts that has been done in this area in terms of giving women tractors, farming implements, seeds, etc., etc. And women have always been answering that call. I think the team is in the right direction.
What is your organization doing to change the livelihood of the vulnerable?
Right now, I've changed. I'm working with a project called SILIP. This project is implemented under the management of GAMWORKS. And the project basically has 5 components aimed at supporting rural and peri-urban areas. Those 5 components basically has community infrastructural support area, where we do intervention in certain villages, and this could be infrastructure of any kind that that community would demand. It's a demand-driven approach, and the community would demand for something. So to connect it to the women empowerment, women will be part of that community, and they can request for any support that that community feels is their priority, and the project will support them in that area. Another component for the project, which is called the livelihood component, has 2 basic areas where we support with what is called matching grant area. The community associations, which are basically women associations in the country, can write proposals and ask for support in provision of things like milling machines, labor-saving devices, etc., etc., things like that. And this will be supported through the project as well. The other component of the project will also have microfinance area, where we will give microfinance to women groups at a reduced rate, interest rate. We know that interest rate has been a problem for women, but this project has looked at all those things. That's the gender sensitivity that has undergone in this project design. That those microfinance will be given to these associations at a reduced rate. That can also help them to improve their productivity.
Well, we'll now take a short music break. We'll be right back. Don't go away.